This is Saurabh, and you're listening to my favorite talk show, The Weekly Show with Aditya.
I welcome you all to a very wet Wednesday. The citizens of Delhi must have woken up to showers and thunderstorms. In the context of the weather that we have today and all the things that are happening for the past 150 days, I have a song which will sum up the things that are happening. This song is Carry On My Wayward Son by Kansas. So let's start. Carry on my wayward son, there'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest, don't you cry no more. Once I rose above the noise and confusion, just to get a glimpse beyond this illusion. I was soaring even higher, but I flew too high. Through my eyes could see I was still a blind man. Though my mind could think I was still a madman. I hear the voices when I dreaming. I can hear them say, carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more. Masquerading as a man with a reason. My charade is the event of the season. And if I claim to be a wise man, well, it surely means that I don't know. On a stormy sea of moving emotion, tossed about like I'm a ship on the ocean. I set a course for winds of fortune, but I hear the voices say, carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more. Carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more. No. Carry on, you will always remember. Carry on, nothing signals the splendor. Now your life's no longer empty, but surely heaven waits for you. Carry on, my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more, no more. Let's look at some of the keywords in this song. Once I rose above the noise and confusion. If you look at the contemporary times, the past 150 days, the entire narrative has been full of noise and confusion just to get a glimpse beyond this illusion. Right now, we are caught in an illusion called the pandemic circus. And in the context of finding a cure for this, we know what that cure is. Are we flying too high like Icarus? I'm sure most of my listeners know the story behind Icarus, flying too close to the sun till melting heavens conspired his overthrow. Will this search for a cure be equivalent to flying too close to the sun? That is something we shall never know. Masquerading as a man with reason. Right now, if you look at everybody, everyone is masquerading as people with reasons. My charade is the event of this season. Exactly. The charade of this pandemic is the event of the season. And these two lines will really sum up the situation, the season. It surely means that I don't know, on a stormy sea of moving emotion. It feels like that everybody is high on emotions. They think they are people of reasons, but we know they are all masquerading, tossed about. I am like a ship on the ocean. It feels like that. Add the weather, the situation, and all the melodrama surrounding it, it does feel like we are masquerading as of right now. So I hope you enjoyed this song which sums up this situation. If you remember, I had also through the poem Things Fall Apart summed up this situation. So the poem Things Fall Apart and this song Carry On My Wayward Son summarizes the entire 150 days that has been displayed in front of us and what we are thinking, the masquerading as people of reason, looking beyond this illusion. Will we ever look beyond this illusion? Are we stuck in this confusion, noise, and confusion? Now, enough of this talk about charades. Let's get into something more illusionary, the illusion called WWE and all the entertainment surrounding it. Now, if you remember, WWE specifically has a couple of important pay-per-views, that is important events which are conducted. Yes, there is an pay-per-view for every month, but there are four very special pay-per-views which define a wrestler's career and propel them to the heights of greatness, though only at the professional wrestling level. Now, if you remember, the important pay-per-views so far conducted are the Royal Rumble, which decides who will main event WrestleMania, which was Drew McIntyre earlier this year. Then Drew McIntyre went on to defeat Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship, and so far he has successfully defended his championship despite all the mind games played by his opponents. Though unlike SummerSlam and WrestleMania, where each and every championship is defended, does it change hands? That remains to be seen. But each and every championship is defended, and once again, each and every championship will be defended. The WWE Championship, the match is between someone who has been part of this industry for the past 20 years, Randy Orton, who has played mind games, who is toying with the emotions of Drew McIntyre as he targets former wrestlers, former Hall of Famers. Then there is that strange thing between Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman, who have been doing this for the past 3 to 4 months ever since Braun Strowman defeated Goldberg for the WWE Universal Championship. They've had all kinds of matches, swamp fights, and during their SmackDown regular tapings, they've had mind games. They're targeting each other through things which are inexplicable, which if you see, you will understand, but you won't fully understand. So these two world championships are at a very crucial stage. The question is, will Drew McIntyre and Bray Wyatt successfully defend their respective championships, or will it change hands? Will the mind games of Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, or in his avatar as the Fiend, will they successfully wrestle the championship from the hands of these two upcoming wrestlers who have already put themselves in history by winning the respective championships? So between Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton, it's the finishing moves of the RKO and the Claymore kick and the oft-quoted RKO from nowhere story. From the men's championship, we have the women's championship. And now this is a very unique situation because, as I've told you before, Sasha Banks and Bailey are the Raw Women's and the SmackDown Women's Championship respectively. They have won the most controversial fashion, but they have won either way. And now, after events that have unfolded over the past couple of weeks since the last pay per view, that is the Extreme Rules, Asuka will challenge both these champions for both their titles, looking to become Becky Lynch like two belt champion in separate matches but on the same evening. So it will be very interesting if by the end of the day Asuka is a double champion or she wins neither. Which one she will win, it's difficult to say. Then there are some non-title matches which are equally important in the context of how WWE grooms its younger wrestlers. As you know, Rey Mysterio has been a part of this industry for the past 15 years, and now his son Dominic Mysterio makes his debut at a pay-per-view event. Let me tell you, for a wrestler to make his or her debut at a pay-per-view event in their first official match, it's a big deal. Usually wrestlers make their debut in a normal Raw or SmackDown or NXT regular programming, but they have propelled Dominic Mysterio for the past 3 to 4 months, and they have pitted him against another wrestler who has been dominating this particular profession for the past 8.5 years, and it will be a big moment when this particular wrestler makes his debut. Yes, we've seen all kinds of matches, and here the match is titled a street fight. Now, let me tell you, this is not a street fight. The term street fight is an illusion because eventually you have to win the match inside the ring. Yes, there would be no disqualifications, no timeouts. Yes, interference of your backups would be acceptable. Street fight is to add to the illusion of the entire thing that is surrounding them because of all the things that have happened between Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio, and Seth Rollins, and how Rollins' new avatar has put them in peril. So, yes, it's at culmination, but it will be something which everybody is looking forward to, as once Rey Mysterio gives the baton to his son, will he call it a day? Because retirement in WWE is not a straightforward event. And the mind games continue as Apollo Crews, the current United States champion, will be challenged by MVP. Remember, MVP is another pseudonym. Whatever his proper name is, or whatever the full title of MVP means, please do some research and find out yourselves. So, MVP will challenge Apollo Crews for a US championship. Here also, mind games are at a high. We don't know what is going to happen. So for MVP, his cohorts or his team, which they call the Hurt Business, they will be banned from ringside. Such was the stipulation. Once again, the question comes. And in WWE, it's a very different way to talk about a person as the protagonist or as the antagonist. It happens in a very strange fashion, which can't be deciphered unless you've watched enough of these matches or enough of this particular professional wrestling program to understand how this all works. And despite all your experience of watching multiple pay-per-views, it's still difficult to decipher because of its mysterious nature. Then there's of course another match, that is the one between Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. They were former friends and now they have turned bitter rivals, and due to some incidents which happened at the backstage where a certain Sonya Deville attacked Mandy Rose, and you know what happens when such attacks happen. Immediately a match is sanctioned, a match is made official. Remember, this match is called a hair for a hair. So whichever wrestler loses, the winner will shave the heads of the loser. It's going to be very interesting as to how this thing happens. And there's of course another possibility of a match between AJ Styles and Jeff Hardy for the Intercontinental Championship. So it will be very interesting to see if Jeff Hardy, who has come over the demons against Sheamus, will he be able to wrestle back his championship? It remains to be seen as to will these two veterans clash against each other, and will Jeff Hardy extract the championship from AJ Styles? It will be something which will be very interesting because so far AJ Styles has defended his Intercontinental Championship against every opponent. If you have the singles matches, can we not have the tag team championships? We hear Street Profit will go one-on-one against Andrade and Angel Garza. Here also mind games have been played. Things have become personal. Let me tell you, when in WWE things are becoming personal, they really go all the way to make it look like things become personal. We all know it's an illusion. There is no need to reason as to why things happen, but the fact that it's entertainment, yes, there is some semblance of truth, there is some semblance of illusion, but overall, if you mix both truth and illusion, it's eventually entertainment. So, to sum it up, will the various championships be defended by the various champions, or will we see at the end of the night new champions for each and every championship? That is the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, the WWE Universal Heavyweight Championship, the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championship, the Raw Tag Team Champions, the Intercontinental Champion, and the United States Champion. I will be back next week to discuss all this and more in details as to how the match went and how the pay-per-view fared in the light of the illusion that is surrounding us. Let's continue this discussion by now coming to the final part of this episode, that is the reading from PG Wodehouse Aunt Omnibus. So far, what has happened? If you have been listening carefully to the narration of the book that I have in front of you, Bertie Wooster, who has issues against the Tortellate Towers and vice versa, is now at Tortellate Towers, and right now he is in a conversation with someone who doesn't like him, and he doesn't like that person because of their strange past. Remember, at this time he has to do everything on his own because he doesn't have his trusted aide Jeeves with him. So let's continue the conversations and the monologue of our protagonist Bertram Wooster. We had to wait till Jeeves came along, which he eventually did in answer to our cries. It would have thrilled you to have seen Jeeves on that occasion. He advanced dauntlessly and said, "Mr. Wooster, speaking, kindly spare me your reminiscences. I was merely saying, well, don't." Silence fell. On my part, a wounded silence, for all I had tried to do was take his mind off things with entertaining chit chat. I moved an inch or two away from him in a marked manner. The Woosters do not force their conversations on the unwilling. All this time, Bartholomew had been trying to join us, making a series of energetic springs. Fortunately, Providence, in its infinite wisdom, had given Scotty's short legs, and though full of the will to win, he could accomplish nothing constructive. However much an Aberdeen terrier may bear mid snow and ice a banner with the strange device Excelsior, he nearly always has to be content with dirty looks and the sharp, passionate bark. Some minutes later, my fellow rooster came out of the silence. No doubt the haughtiness of my manner had intimidated him, for there was a mildness in his voice which had not been there before. "Mr. Booster, I turned coldly. Were you addressing me, Basse? There must be something we can do. Might find the animal 5 pounds. We cannot stay here all night. Why not? What's to stop us? This held him. He relapsed into silence once more. And we were sitting there like a couple of Trappist monks when a voice said, "Well, for heaven's sake," and I perceived that Stiffy was with us. Not surprising, of course, that she would have turned up sooner or later. If Scotty's come, I ought to have said to myself, can Stiffy be far behind? This ends episode number 249 on the 19th of August 2020.
For more awesome content, tune in to the next episode of the weekly show with Aditya.